Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is, staying safe out there during these unprecedented times. I hope you're enjoying your quarantine time. I've been kind of slack on videos lately because of all this stuff going on. My family's been pretty busy doing all kinds of stuff. The weather has been getting better here in West Virginia where I'm at. And because of that, I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done outside my house and stuff like that. But I hope you guys are staying busy, staying involved. I do feel sorry for a lot of you guys out there who DJing is your primary income. And I know a lot of that stuff is being canceled now. We have had multiple gigs canceled at this point in time with the company. And, we're going to make it through. We'll be back here in a couple months, I hope. And we'll be back to doing gigs like we always have. So today my video is going to be about Engine Prime. I've had a lot of you guys ask me, and I've had a lot of questions on forums, on all kinds of stuff about using Engine Prime to manage your music for use on the Prime Series hardware. So as you guys know, I run the SC5000s with an X1800 mixer, and some of my other company partners and stuff like that, they have them as well. So we are able to interchangeably use each other's equipment if we need to for whatever reason. We can also take and expand out to a 4-deck system on bigger events and things like that we all work together on. So this video is going to be primarily on how to use Engine Prime, how I use Engine Prime, which may be a little different from other people, and then how I handle my music for things like weddings and for things like EDM events. So there's two different kind of schools of thought there on how to manage your music for each of those types of things. So we'll take a look at both of those, and we'll see if we can get you guys kind of started on using Engine Prime if you need to. So we have some events coming up here, hopefully, with everything going on towards the end of the year this year, where they're going to be maybe an EDM event, and we're going to have more like a festival situation where we'll have a lot of different guest DJs coming through, and we want to give them the opportunity to use the SC5000s, which are an amazing media player. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, bring some CDJs or whatever. Well, we don't have CDJs, and there's a whole slew of reasons why I don't have CDJs, and I may do a video about that one day. But for right now, I don't have CDJs. Now we can rent them and get them in for that event, but one of the things that we're trying to kind of push along here is the ability, is the fact that everybody can use the SC5000s. So hopefully with a tutorial like this should be pretty easy, that anybody can download Engine Prime, grab a flash drive they have left over, and get them going on Engine Prime. So they can walk up to the decks, plug their flash drive in, and they're good to go. Now, you're going to say, yes, the SC5000s will read rekordbox drives, but the only disadvantage to that is it will read it and it will import all the songs, and you can use them, but you still have to analyze each song because it still has to use its own beat gridding information. So it still has to analyze it, so that does take a little bit of time. Now, if you're comfortable with hitting the load button, waiting the 10 seconds to 15 seconds it takes for it to analyze a song, great. But some people, they want to be able to hit the button and go because they're mixing real quick or whatever. So I'll show you how to get started on Engine Prime so you can kind of avoid that completely in the first place. So we'll flip over to the computer here and we'll get started. All right, so we have up here Engine Prime. This version, let me see if it'll tell me the version number here. Hit the right button here. Is it here? I don't remember exactly which version this is. This is not the latest version of Engine Prime. And you probably ask why, and it's mostly me just being lazy, and I have not downloaded the newest version yet. The newest version doesn't have many changes. It does have the sync feature, which I haven't gotten into yet, but since I have everything working with this, I'm comfortable with this, I'm going to keep with this, and I'll eventually switch over to the newer version once I have a need to. If something's not broke, don't necessarily fix it, so don't want to introduce new bugs. So I have here, you'll have to see a bunch of drives with red triangles on them. Those are my system drives on my computer here. So like I have a storage drive, a couple 2 terabyte storage drives here. These are not flash drives. These are like my system drives on my computer. These are not formatted in a format that you can use Engine Prime with, which obviously, why would I want to use a hard drive built into my computer for Engine Prime? Don't want to do that, not for this. So we'll ignore those. I do have an engine test here, which you can see right here. This engine test is a flash drive I have on the computer. Let me see if I can pull it up here. And this is literally just a 2 terabyte flash drive. It's nothing special. No, sorry, not 2 terabyte. It's 16 gig. And this 16 gig flash drive is formatted in exFAT. So if you guys are not familiar with formatting a flash drive, You can check online. There's tons of tutorials on how to format a flash drive. It took me about 10 seconds to format this one to exFAT. exFAT is the preferred format. You can use FAT32, you can use a couple other types, but exFAT gives you the most flexibility and speed out of it. So I just named it Engine Test when I formatted it, so it's good to go. It's completely empty. As you can see here, completely empty, nothing in it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get something started on Engine Prime on this flash drive, and then here in a little bit I'll actually take you guys through and you can look and see my wedding drive that I use, which is a 1 terabyte portable hard drive. I'll plug that in here to Engine Prime, and I'll let you take a look and see how I have it organized and how I actually use Engine Prime for weddings successfully. So what we'll do is we'll set up this flash drive here as like an EDM flash drive. Say I'm going to an event where, you know, I'm going to play a single set, something like that, and I want to have some tracks on there, you know, to play. So there's two different ways to do this. The first way is we can take here, go to Engine Prime, we can get a playlist here, right click, and we'll just create a playlist. That's the first thing we'll do, and it'll be the easiest thing to kind of get started with. I'm just going to call this playlist test list. Simple, easy, you know, nothing big. Another thing you can do under this playlist, you can actually create playlist folders, and you'll see that on my wedding drive. So I'll just call this folder 1, and then under this folder I can actually have playlists as well. So list, I'm going to call this list 2, and so now you can see I kind of have stuff list 3, kind of starting to get some organization started here. So I have like a basic playlist directly on the flash drive, and then I have the folder here, and then this folder contains 2 playlists as well, so you can kind of keep things organized. One of the things I do with my wedding one is I have like, you know, a dancing folder, and then underneath that I have multiple genres and things like that. But this is more organization stuff. So the first way that you can get tracks directly on your drive and ready to play on an Engine Prime system is you can take your audio tracks, and I'll just open up a folder here. I've got some audio files on, and this first one I'll just use this Archangel by Zomboy. You can just drag it in. So I have, you know, this is on one of my storage drives on my computer. I just downloaded these from probably BPM Supreme, and I can take these and I can just drag them in, let go, and it's going to pull it in. So on the bottom right hand side here is the jobs. So when you click that, you can see whether or not it's importing and what it's doing. But now I have Archangel by Zomboy here. Now, a couple things to point out here. Right on the right hand side here, you'll see this little checkbox here on packed. Packed means that it took this audio file and packed it into the file structure for Engine Prime. So if we look on our Engine Test folder here, we now have a folder called Engine Library. We can double click that, and we have the actual databases and stuff like that through here, which we never need to touch. Then under the music, we actually have the folders for where that music is all packed, and it's packed by artist, title, and then the actual MP3 itself. And it will be named, the MP3 itself will be named the same as over here. So that's one way to do it. I've done that a lot. Packing it itself works just fine. And actually, let me double click this here. Once I double click it, it's going to analyze it for me. And we're analyzed, ready to play. I'm not going to play too much of it because, you know, knowing copyright things, you know, it'll all be taken down if I do that kind of crap. So anyway, so there it is. It's ready to go. I can set my cues right in here. The beat grid looks to be on as expected, which of course you guys know Engine Prime sometimes will misanalyze some stuff, but that's okay. Set a cue here. I can name this cue, you know, intro or something like that. I'm not going to use this for actually something later. And then I can set, you know, pre-build here, and I can name all these, and you'll see that in the actual SC5000s or, you know, Prime 4, whatever you're using, you can actually see these titles of these things, plus of course the colors. So set my cue points, good to go. And you'll also see now, you see the grid line over here. So this does mean that it has been, the beat grid has been analyzed and is imported. So I can actually use this immediately on an SC5000 without any analyzation. So this is the first way that I did it. The only disadvantage to this is when you drag this over out of your, you know, your hard drive folder on your computer, it actually is going to, you know, put them into a folder structure that's not necessarily super intuitive for you. Yes, your songs are all going to be here on the software, but it's not necessarily the most intuitive. So the way I do it, and this is one way that'll save you a little bit of time, I've found, is what I can do is I'm actually going to delete this real quick. Oh, not that. Delete the track. I'm just going to remove, remove from the playlist. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this entire folder, which is called download v2 here. I'm going to take that entire folder in its folder structure, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to my flash drive here, which is engine test, and I'm actually just going to paste it into the root here. I'm not going to touch this engine library folder. I'm just going to paste it directly into the root. Now this is a USB 2.0 flash drive, so it's not that super fast, but you'll see what I mean here in a second when it comes to making sure my music is all where I want it to be and making it so that I can understand where everything's at, and make it so that it's easy to share like that folder of music. So like if somebody said, hey, can I get that playlist of songs? Well, it's not real easy to just go grab that playlist of songs right out of that, because I got to go through each artist and title and stuff like that, the way it all combines it in the engine library. So if I do it this way, it saves me a little bit of time. So now I have my music that I want here on the flash drive itself on the root. There's all the stuff. So what I can do now, and this also, you'll notice this is exceptionally faster. When I take and I select all the songs, Engine Prime knows the path of this flash drive. So what I can do is I can take these and I can just drag all these in and let go. Now you'll see it's working down here. Boom, all of them are in here. Now you'll notice on the right hand side it did not say packed. It will on that Archangel because it was already in there. I just removed it from the playlist and deleted it from the flash drive. Now all of them are in there, and it was exceptionally faster. It did not have to actually, because it knows it doesn't have to transfer all these from my computer hard drive to Engine Prime. It just does it this way. Now, disadvantage to this: if you delete one of these full files out of here on the engine, on your flash drive, if you delete one of these files, then it'll mess up Engine Prime here. It'll say it can't find the file. So you just got to be careful with that. Just don't mess with your stuff. But if you're importing like thousands of songs, instead of having to individually transfer every song using Engine Prime, you can transfer it ahead of time using your computer system, and it's a little bit faster that way. And then you can import it all a lot faster and a little easier. So when you're getting into doing your Engine Prime stuff, you can. So now that they're all in here, we're going to select them all. I'm going to right click and I'm going to analyze all the tracks. So that's the next thing you do. Once you've actually got all your music here onto your flash drive for Engine Prime, you got to analyze it. And then what you get down through here, it's going to get the BPMs, it's going to get the beat grids, and it's going to get all the key for it. So it's going to do the basic analyzation that you have with any software. Along the bottom there, you can see it did say how long it was taking, so you do get a progress meter. And now all of these songs are analyzed. They're all in this test playlist. Now over here I have my other playlists. I can drag and drop as well. So I can drag that thrown over to here. Break down over to this, and then step aside down to this one. You can mess with stuff all you need to and copy and paste all around, so it's easy to manipulate stuff. And then to remove it from a playlist, you just right click and then remove from playlist, and there you go. You can order stuff. I usually keep my stuff in a numbered order here, so that way when I get to a set, none of this is organized by BPM or key or nothing like that. I can actually go through and move stuff around to how I want to play it, not necessarily what makes sense BPM wise, order or whatnot. So that's the way I keep this. So the next portion here, once we have it analyzed, we can click on them, and now we can go in and start setting our cue points and stuff like that. Now, all of these songs that I've done so far, now mind you, these are also all mostly dubstep in this one here. They've all analyzed correctly. I was hoping to get one that wasn't, and then I could show you how to fix it. This one is on. That's just a downbeat there. Yeah, that one's fine. I'm trying to see if I have one in here that might not have gotten analyzed correctly. Well, I'll just mess one up, and then we can kind of fix it if it does. So I'm just going to use this one as an example here. This one is on. What you can do here, though, is on the left-hand side here, you can hit this little kind of triangular on a stick here. And here we can adjust the beat grids. Now we can move stuff left and right. As you can see, the grids move in there. Move it left to right. You can actually manually adjust the BPM. So if it analyzes the BPM incorrectly, so say it analyzes this at 140, I can do that. You'll see it is no longer on anywhere. Well, you can go in here and you can manually 150 it if you happen to know what it is from other software, and you'll see now, hey, I'm landing on the beats. It looks good. I can also just nudge these things over to get it right on. If it analyzes it at halftime, say it analyzes its song at 75, excuse me, which it will now and then, you can just go over here, hit the ×2 button, and then boom, now it's at 150, which is where you want it if you're syncing between tracks and stuff like that. So that's not hard. You can stretch it and shrink it using the BPM buttons here. You can fine tune it and stuff like that to get it exactly where you want it. You can set manual points in here using this button. I'm not going to do that because it's going to mess me up. But you can set things in there manually to do it that way. Once you've set one of these points itself, you can move it back and forth to kind of get it right on. And then once you set a couple of those, it'll be right on. So I normally don't have a problem with this. If I use open format, I'll pull open my wedding drive here in a minute, and I'll show you some that aren't analyzed correctly. And they're usually not too far off. If they are off a little bit, especially with like older songs, like open format older songs that may not have been recorded to a metronome or something like that, then you'll find that I usually just end up having to do it by ear, which is not a real big deal if you've done this for a while. If you're doing a set where you have to be synced the whole time and stuff like that, then you may want to put the effort into going through. But for me, it's not a real big deal if a song's a little bit off. I'll just do it by ear. I'll adjust my pitch fader, jog it a little bit, just get it where it needs to be, and then work with that. I encourage that with everybody. You know, that's one of the things that people complain about with this one, is it doesn't always analyze the tracks correctly. Well, it's not a deal breaker for me because you just do it manually. Some people it's a little tougher, but I encourage you to hone your skills and get to where, okay, hey, it's a little bit off, I can figure it out real quick, you know, no big deal. Big high pressure set, then you're going to want to go through here and probably get your stuff to be exactly on. Not a big deal, not real hard, but it does take a little bit of time. But if it's that important, then you'll want to take the time to make it right. Now, not all softwares get them correctly. I've had Virtual DJ get stuff incorrect, I've had Serato get stuff incorrect, and I have had rekordbox misanalyze tracks before. And it's thrown me way off when I got to a set, you know. So, you know, all of them have that kind of problems. They're working on it. Denon is working on it. They have said multiple times that's one of their main focuses right now, is to get the analyzation a little bit higher quality and get it dynamic and stuff. So, but yeah, so right now this drive is ready to use on some 5000s. So I could eject this drive right here, go plug it into my SC5000s, and look at the test list, and you'll see all these songs in here, and I can play them right away. So anyway, that's Engine Prime for the most part. I mean, this isn't hard. This isn't anything, you know, novel or new. If I was preparing a set, I would go through and I'd sit here and I'd get my, you know, tracks all kind of figured out. I'd get my cues set, and it will quantize them based on your settings here. So you can actually set this to be 1 beat quantization, half beat. You know, so if you want to be able to quantize in between beats, you can actually set it, and it'll snap to the half. I usually set it to 1 because if the songs are on, I'm going to want to start something on a downbeat, so it just makes sense to have 1. And of course, you can adjust your waveform zoom here, and you can see up there it's actually doing that as well. So if you like to have it zoomed in a little more, that's fine. Let's see. There's some other library stuff here you can configure too, and this is going to be something that, depending on what format you're playing, you might want to adjust. So when it goes to analyze the songs, you may want to adjust your BPM range here. I keep mine 78 to 155 because most of the songs that I'm playing are going to be within that. The newer version has a little bit wider BPM range in it as well. That's another reason you might want to upgrade to the newer version. This one's always been fine for me, so I just kind of run with this. I don't always just play EDM, but it will catch the songs. It'll catch 128 in there. It'll catch the 140s. It'll catch the 150s. It'll catch the 90s. You know, it'll catch everything I need to catch in the 78 to 155 range for me. You can also change your key notation for this as well. Personally, I like to have sharps and flats. Just that's what I'm used to. Coming from a musical background, but a lot of like DJs and stuff like that, they rely on the Camelot system, and of course that's here as well, so you can do that. For the integration reasons, you can also have it set to integrate with your rekordbox, Traktor, and Serato, and iTunes. So if you have Serato on your computer, you can turn these things on, and Traktor and rekordbox on this computer. You can turn these things on, and you'll get another piece over here on your left-hand side that says rekordbox. And you can click that, and you can actually view all your rekordbox crates, your Serato crates, and you can literally drag and drop directly from Serato, as long as the audio files exist on this computer for those crates and stuff like that. You can drag them over. Now, if they don't, you'll have to have like a rekordbox flash drive plugged in whenever you're going to transfer over, so that it can find the files and put them over here. But that's pretty much it. That's for the most part. You can adjust your audio output stuff here too, if you would need to, but it defaults pretty well. But that's Engine Prime. So you can also set up your loops and stuff in here as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's take a look at my, another thing, dual layer. It also does dual layer up here. If you wanted to, you can throw 2 tracks in here. And if you wanted to, you can play both of them at the same time and kind of crossfade. And you can kind of do a little bit of mixing yourself if you want to. I don't see a real good reason for this. If you wanted to, I guess if you wanted to try a transition, you could try a transition on your cues and stuff like that. Get a cue set for something, and then try a transition, something like that. You could do that if you wanted to, but I don't really mess with that too much. But it does exist if you want to play with that. So okay, that's enough of that. So I'm gonna open up my drive here. I use, if anybody wants to know, this here is a Seagate Backup Plus portable drive. This is a 2 terabyte. So it's a little tiny little guy. It's portable, no power supply needed. I got this little Amazon Basics case that fits these small portable drives, and so I keep the cord in here. I also keep a backup one of these. It's exactly the same as this. I just have a little label that says backup on it. And I keep it synced with this all the time, and I can show you how to sync 2 drives if you want to have a backup here too as well. But I keep 2 of these drives with me at all times, so if for some reason this drive fails, I can grab the other one and it'll be exactly the same as this one. All my songs will still be there, my lists will be the same. So every wedding that I do, I have to back up this one and copy it over to my backup. But that's not a big deal for me. It's just part of my process that I use, so it works out well. I'm going to plug 2 drives in here. The first drive I'm going to plug in here is my EDM drive that I use for my EDM shows. So I'll plug that in here. You'll see it show up over here called Code Music, and you'll see here I have quite a bit of playlists in here. I also have kind of a backup wedding playlist in here too, so if for all else fails, I can throw this drive into the thing, and I can have some weddings, 155 songs that I would usually use at a wedding. I mean, you can kind of see here that, pretty generic, nothing too fancy, just stuff that would get me through a wedding if I had to. But of course, I also have other things in here too, festival playlists, specific playlists for certain events, even a little Kids Bop section here for, elementary school dances, if I'd have to do one of those, which I do those every now and then. And then, of course, individual rave ones, stuff like that. These are all ordered as I would want them. So, yeah, breakbeat set in here, just all kinds of stuff. I try to keep things going. I try to make individual playlists for individual gigs. Like here was one of the glow raves we did recently. This is ordered top down how I wanted to play them throughout the whole night, So that worked out for me. Let me plug in my wedding playlist here. This one will take just a second to come up here. This is that portable hard drive I just plugged in. We'll just collapse this down here. And like I said, it takes a second to kind of analyze because it's 2 terabytes worth. So here we go. Paragon Music is what this one's called. And here I have my playlists. So as you can see here, I have a weddings folder, a school dances folder, a dubstep folder, an old weddings folder, and a house folder. And then some, miscellaneous lists down here, including a DJ pool folder. So one thing that I'll show you here, and this is probably outside of the recommended amount of songs for the Prime series and Engine Prime. I'm sure it is, because I'm running more than they say you're able to, but I don't have any problems, so I'm sure it's fine. This is my old Horizon Productions library, my previous company. I had 12,871 songs in this. And you can see here, this is going to be massive. Everything in here. I mean, just absolutely everything. Some country right here. Zomboy in here, ZZ Top, 38 Special, just all kinds of stuff in this thing. Now, this is obviously massive. I'm not going to be playing this many songs, but if you're an open format DJ or a wedding DJ, you need to be able to take requests. And so that's where these kind of come into play. And then my business partner, Al, he had Crossover. He's got 6,853 songs here. So I don't have most of these analyzed, honestly. It's like these are just raw waves, and they're not analyzed or anything like that. But the purpose of this is once they are imported into Engine Prime here, once I have put the folder on the portable hard drive and then drug all the songs in, it doesn't have to transfer them again, which is great. Because I used this hard drive just kind of as a storage drive before, so all the songs were already there. I just highlighted out all of them and drug them in, and it just, boom, put them all in there. And when it does that, it puts them into the database, so they are now searchable. So if I get a request at a wedding for, Dwight Yoakam Ain't That Lonely Yet, I can go in here, and that song is now searchable. Apparently I had a request at one point in time for 1,000 Miles from Nowhere, and you can see here it has pulled the grid for that one. So that means I had played it at some point in time. So if I double click this, it should have the beat grid. Yeah, it's got the grid ready to go, which is right on. Being even Dwight Yoakam, it's right on. If I pick like Ain't That Lonely Yet, you'll see it'll have to analyze it first. Now, only takes a second or two to analyze it, but yeah, these are now all searchable. So, total, if I add all these up, a lot of these have the beat grid already, apparently. But if I add everything up here that I have just in these categories, 13, 18, 20,000 songs probably, something like that, just right here. That's not including all the ones in my DJ pool folder, which is not that many, I guess, in here. And then the ones in my old weddings, which these are just individual weddings that I have stuck in here that I might want to refer to. All of my dubstep, all my school dance music here, a couple hundred each playlist. And then my weddings themselves, dancing's 583, or country's 583, dancing portions 183, bunch of old wedding special songs 169. It all adds up pretty quick. So, thousands and thousands of songs here. But the greatest part is all of these are searchable on the SC5000s. Of course, they're searchable here as well, but, for the most part, they're completely searchable. Here's the collection itself, and let's see if it tells me. Yeah, it's got to calculate all of them. I don't know how many thousands are there, but there's a lot, obviously. It's going to check them all real quick. I don't normally open this up because it's just so massive. But 1,413 hours worth of music here, so that should probably get me by, I think. But, yeah, so I just organize my stuff this way, and it works for me. Mostly for weddings, I'm operating out of this one here. I have some individual people's weddings, so when I do a wedding, I go through and I put all the special songs that they are going to want specifically in here. That way I don't have to hunt around or search anything. If it's like a first dance song or a cake cutting song, I don't have to search around for that. I want to just be able to have it right in front of me exactly where I need it. And so I do that. When it comes to the dancing portion of the wedding, I open up this dancing folder and then, pick away. I don't know what I'm going to pick, but, it depends on the people and depends on the wedding itself. But, I can fire up September in a matter of a second, So, but anyway, yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of everything here. And like I said, with all these thousands of songs, they're all searchable. So when I hit a request, I can search right on the SC5000. I'm searching over, goodness, how many thousands and thousands of songs. 20,000 plus songs I'm searching right away, instantly. And if I don't have it, of course, as you guys know, there's title integration with these, so I can pull it that way. Or number two, the SC5000, the X1800 is compatible with USB audio input, so I can always have my computer and I can run any sort of software. I can even play an audio file directly on it. I can play it through one of the four decks on the X1800, so I can play a song that way. If you guys would like a video on that kind of stuff, let me know. I can show you how I kind of do hookups and stuff like that for my weddings. But other than that, that's going to pretty much be it. I'll kind of leave it with here. If you guys have questions or if you guys have problems, hit me up in the comments, shoot me a message, something like that. And I can try to help you guys out through here. But this is kind of like just an overall, let's get started. Let's use Engine Prime for a set that I've got coming up. And, operation of the SC5000s is no different really than the operation for CDJs, but you get a whole lot more out of the 5000s. I'm not sure why more people aren't migrating towards that. A lot of people complain, oh yeah, the BPM analysis is not quite exactly the same. Well, all the songs that I just imported, now mind you, these are mostly dubstep, but all the songs I just imported into here, they're all exactly right on. I don't have, I don't experience the issues that a lot of people say they are experiencing. If I go over here to my wedding folder, I will probably see some songs in here that are not perfectly analyzed. Let's choose this one. This one's on. So this one's on. Landing right on the downbeats correctly. Okay, here's an old song, Beatles song. This one's probably not going to be on. This one's going to be harder to analyze. So yeah, this one's not quite on. But I can see here it's a little shrunk. So I could probably fix this. It's at 122. This song was not recorded to a metronome, so fixing a beat grid on this is kind of sketchy in the first place, because if it wasn't recorded to a perfect metronome, then it's going to drift throughout the song. Yeah, I know rekordbox does have the dynamic analysis, but it's not quite this good. So, you'll get things like that. And that's just going to happen. And I kind of expect that with an old song like that. But for the most part, the songs that I'm playing nowadays, even Jump Around by House of Pain, you know, that's right on. Dylan Scott here, some country. That's right on. So I mean, I'm not experiencing some of these things, but then again, I guess it could just be me, but in my music that I have ready. But there's no reason to not try them out. If you guys get the opportunity to try out a Denon Prime series software, I highly recommend it. These things are great. It's not hard to get your Engine Prime drive set up. You just have to have a spare flash drive. You can use a rekordbox drive because it will not mess with anything in the rekordbox folder. It creates its own separate thing for Engine Prime, so nothing will be affected on your rekordbox drive. So you can even use that same flash drive, and just whatever you plug it into, it'll detect it and it'll work. So I do that a lot. One of my other main drives actually has a rekordbox folder on it that I use just in case I have to have CDJs for an event or something like that. I've got it ready to go. And both are on there. I use the same drive to plug in back and forth to each of them. So, but if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out. It helps everybody else out. It lets me bring you these videos and help you guys out with things. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. This will help me out a lot too. So thank you guys much, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.